ideologies are from the Middle East, which are brought to the Europe and the West to subvert it from within. Basically, what Muslims are doing right now to the Europe is what Christians did to Europe back then, to the pagan Europe, which was pagan. It was always pagan, so that's why that Christian worldview was never acceptable for Europeans. That's why they did to the Jesus what they did, because what he was bringing on this world was so unacceptable for them.
You're
Now,
wrong.
now you
It was not exported. It was not exported. It was themselves who immigrated to Europe or United States. They had the thing. You did not give them anything. They don't owe it to you. They had it. They immigrated, for example, to Europe or elsewhere.
Again,
you think that you are the source, huh?
Muslims right now are just doing what Christians did a few thousand years ago to the Europe. That's exactly what's happening. And in the future, the so-called conservatives, as you identify.
Yes, but was it with horse and sword? Was it with horse and sword?
Islam.
Was it with horse and sword,
You're
sir?
going to defend Islam in the future. God.
Was it convert or die?
Wasn't it?
Was it? I'm asking you.
It doesn't even matter.
Oh, no, it does. It does a little bit. Oh, my God. Convert or die. Thank you very much.
When Muslims are Islamizing the West, is that convert or die?
Well, at least we didn't impose that on people.
No,
at least. I'm just saying, Muslims are doing exactly what Christians did.
He's misrepresenting the Crusades. It's always what these Muslim fucks do.
No, he's not. He's not. I know what he's talking. He's talking about very specific ideology. It's not too new, but I've noticed it's gained a lot of momentum. But what he's saying, so there are people that are. Just ask him. So Hermes, are you white people first or race first?
No.
So okay, so you're that Christianity, for example, and Islam, it is a way for who to subvert who? For Jews to have control of Christians and Muslims?
For the Middle Easterns to subvert white people, because white people can do scientific breakthroughs. White people are the ones who create civilization. That's why Europe looks like Europe, and Africa or Middle East look like shitholes because they cannot build stuff. So what they're supposed to do? They're supposed to parasite on the white people's bodies. So to do that, they need to create.
Have you ever been to Africa?
Christianity, Islam,
He's saying,
the white man to serve Middle East, which is exactly what you're doing here. For example, Israel. Israel. You are doing everything for Israel. You're kissing its ass because you're serving them.
Okay, he's got majorly wrong.
Is this language of the source of all the religious?
I'm talking.
With this language?
I'm keep getting interrupted by people. Thank you very much. First of all, the Crusades were not white people or Europeans forcing religion on Islam. It was Islam had overrun the Middle East, and finally Europeans said enough of this shit, and they drove them out of Europe. And that was what the Crusades were. Second of all, shut up. Thank you very much. There was a time that Islam was the center of scientific learning in the world, but then because of Islam, its own religion, it stopped it. Because Islam said, well, we're perfect the way we are. That was the first thing. The second thing, the West caught up and then surpassed the Middle East in terms of technology, in terms of production, in terms of agriculture, in terms of everything. And the Middle East became stagnant to where it is today. And the only reason the Middle East is even inhabitable today is because of Western Europeans and that little invention called air conditioning. You actually have a place where you can go skiing in the middle of Saudi Arabia. Say thank you to Europeans that you're not still walking around with camels fucking when you get horny and having absolutely money. Because we came
So
in
how
and
what you just
modernized
said?
you. That's exactly what happened.
I
Thank
said,
you very much. So stop with the stupid Muslim
much
code.
like
Have you heard of
African
Dark
Asian.
Ages in
Oh,
Europe, you
excuse me.
fucking
Again,
It's
dork?
not even a
That didn't
religion.
create
It's a
anything.
military doctrine. That's all it is.
Islam, like Christianity, are Middle Eastern
Yeah,
religions.
that's
which
the
were
only true thing you've
brought
said
to
so far,
Europe to the
Jeremy.
West.
Everything else you said was
And
false.
what
Alan,
Christians did
Alan, you
to
forgot
Europe
drinking
is
camel
exactly
urine
what
when they're
Muslims
thirsty.
are doing today.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Rob. I forgot about that.
How about you address that point, Alan?
We're just what?
Is Christianity Middle Eastern religion?
Yeah, that's the only true thing.
So you are the
But
follower
see, the
of
difference
the
is
Middle Eastern religion.
the prophet in our religion didn't fuck a 9-year-old. Didn't have.
My
didn't
point was,
fuck the
it is
dick
Middle Eastern
of a
religion.
child
That's
and
it.
didn't get
It's
fucked
not a
by
Middle Eastern. So what's in the Talmud? What does the Talmud preach?
There's that.
You think we're fucking
our
fools? What
prophet
does the
never
Talmud
raised his
preach, you
hand
asshole?
against
Well, good
others
morning, and thank you so much
in order
for
to
coming out
convert them.
today. Thank
Our
you very
prophet
much for
didn't say it's okay
helping
to
bring
rape and kill anyone who doesn't believe
Yes,
it.
Yes,
it
your
did.
Middle
In the
Eastern
Talmud,
prophet.
it says you can rape a 3-year-old child in the Talmud. You lying bitch.
Don't fuck somebody who doesn't believe it.
Jesus is Middle Eastern.
Sorry.
Your prophet is Middle Eastern.
The Bible is Middle Eastern and African. That's
Talking
both
about the Europe. Like, shut the
Even
fuck
if
up.
you don't
You aren't
believe in the
European, you aren't
divinity
Westerner.
of the
You're Middle
prophet,
Easterner.
even if you don't believe in the divinity of the prophets, if you take the text for what they are as historical documents, Jesus did not use his religion to enslave others. Muhammad did.
Again, my point was that Christianity is Middle Eastern religion. I wasn't talking about
Christianity.
Hermes, it makes no difference.
Christianity
at all.
conditions people.
It
What
makes,
the fuck are you
that's
talking
your
about?
only claim.
The Torah was
And then
created in
Muhammad
Africa.
came
Like that's where it was. It
500
was in
years
Egypt.
later and said, oh, let me take Jewish religion, let me take Christian religion, claim that I am the final prophet of God, which means no one, which was a good news, because now no one can argue with him, even if he gets fucked by 5 other black men or fucks a 9-year-old and say, I'm the final religion, which was a great idea, except now, 1,500 years later, you have people living like they're in the Middle Ages because they
So he isn't going to address my
this
point.
was good
my
enough,
actual
so he
point.
doesn't.
He's going to talk
All right,
all
I'm
this
done
bullshit.
arguing.
But
Somebody
address
else.
the argument.
Can I ask a question? I've been listening patiently. So anyone and everyone who finds it necessary to condemn, ridicule, insult, or put down, or derogate, or whatever, other people's religion. I really, out of sheer morbid, atheistic, non-religious, like, curiosity, why do you need to do that? What does that serve you?
Why do atheists need to make fun of religions?
Because it
you
is
see it
true.
all the time. And
Christianity
they
is Middle Eastern religion, which was
so as an atheist, you're not
to make
above
white
it.
people
It's just
serve Middle
atheism is your
Eastern,
religion.
which is exactly what you are doing. Prove it wrong.
So
Can you do
why
that? Can
why
you
people
address
worship
that
the Arab?
point?
Excuse me?
Jews are Arabs, by the way, if you don't know that.
Okay, I think I know that.
Why are these white people worshiping?
How can they be Arab when they were before the Jews? When they were before the Arabs, you Nimrod.
Also,
Wait,
Islam is called Abrahamic religion, alongside with Judaism and Christianity, doesn't it?
Wait.
Tom,
So this has been a thing. Everybody, there is some truth to it. The grain of truth is if you were to look at, for example, if you are a racialist, let's say you're pro-white. Now, there's one thing that really gets in your way ideologically. That is religion. Okay, religion also pacifies people because if you look at Christianity, everybody's a child of God, whether they're black or yellow, or it doesn't matter. When it comes to how you deal with how you fight for, let's say, your race, well, it's kind of immoral to kill people because they're different than you, or to kick people out, or to not feed the poor or the hungry, or let in refugees. It's who are the people that bring in all of these fucking people and pay for it? It's literally NGOs, religious NGOs. So this is why.
I want to go back.
Let me elaborate that specifically. All the religions, Abrahamic religions, they break the concept of the kinship.
That's Dude, why you're like the youngest child on the block here, and you're trying to tell the older child
No, hold on. He is. This is. It's not a radical concept. Religion does make it so that it does go against having an ethno state or being for your racial group first. That's an absolute fact.
Of course it does.
No, but can I cut off? I was cut off. I was
tell any Christian that white people are dying out. He would say, "Who cares? We all are the same."
I was cut off. Can I please have my 2 minutes?
Of the God.
You guys are occupying my indigenous 2 minutes, and you're like genociding my thoughts. Please, can I speak?
So my point is, religions, Abrahamic religions specifically, they break the concept of the kinship. That's why you are so concerned about racism, much even more than about rape. That's what it's all about. Why being racist?
Right, you make your point. Can I make a point?
It is coming from the Christianity. That's why.
Okay, we get it. Let
they don't give a fuck about racism.
Listen.
No, we got that part, but that's
Jewish religion care about
Hermes.
They are.
Okay, let Aitan finish.
All right, listen. I don't know who said what came before what. I don't know why it matters which religion came first. Why is something that's supposed to be spiritual, i.e. harmonious and sharing the world together, how did this become an Olympic event or a competition or a reason to hate someone else and tell them that they're inferior?
I can tell you how. When Pope Leo say Europeans must accept more and more immigrants.
All right, stop. It's my turn to talk.
Go ahead and finish, man.
Now, there is such a thing as called history and historians and scholars, okay? And they're objective most of the time. I would like to think they are objective, but the idea of history is to be objective. When you study something historically. Now, I don't care because I happen to be a Jewish guy. I happen to think that
chronologically... Jewish guy doesn't care white people dying out because...
Would you shut the fuck up?
What happened to you? I thought you were going to counsel the young child.
Hey, let him finish, man. Let him finish.
All right, listen. You all have a text. It's 2,000 years, it's 3,000 years, but the text says a lot of things, okay? I grew up as an Orthodox Jew, but I left all that world, including Orthodoxy or any religion, for a number of reasons, okay? And one of them was because of this chosen people idea. I didn't accept that. One of them was a genocide on this group called Amalek. I didn't like any of that stuff. I came in with critical thinking. Okay. Now, to all you
Bingo.
Yes, thank you. Bingo. Critical thinking. So when I read a text, I can, wait a minute. Is this kind of like too convenient? Is this too whatever? So with all due respect, there are 4 billion people that believe, okay, neither one of these Abrahamic religions. And then, of course, there's some Jews as well. You need to ask yourself questions before you draw conclusions, okay? I have a lot of questions. I think it's unfortunate that people judge, okay, whole people based on what they read on one book, all right? So that's what I'm going to say. Is to the person who thinks that Jews came after Islam, I would like him to come up and I'd just like to exchange a few words with him because I want that to be clarified in my head. So who wanted to say that?
What is the genocide of Moloch that you said?
I beg your pardon?
You said you left because genocide of Moloch.
Dude, he never mentioned the word black. What the hell?
No, he said Amalek.
What is that? What is that?
Amalekite. He's talking about the Amalekites.
All right.
Not I'm a black.
Go on mute. Okay, what did you say?
Listen. What I was exercising is what everybody calls critical thinking. I read it. I didn't just practice it because it was in black and white and my dad gave me to read this. And no, so that was my issue. For the fellow that asked, what is Amalek? Amalek was the first nation that the Israelites got in contact with when they left Egypt as slaves. This a legend, of course, happened around 1250, 1200 BC.
And those were the black Jews.
What? White Jews?
I'm saying those were the black Jews.
Keep going. And the very first nation that encountered them were these people called the Amalekites. They didn't know what the hell was going on. They see hordes of people coming. They think the obvious, they're going to come and conquer our land and whatever and so on and so forth. So whoever wrote that down, the idea was never forget what Amalekites have done to you, because there was a slaughter, there was a bloodbath. And even to this day, theologically, conceptually, if you see an Amalekite, you're supposed to get rid of him, But I don't think anybody really believes in that.
Those are thousands of years old.
Just one remark. Doesn't this Jewish guy prove my point about the Jews and all the so-called people who they call anti-Semitic? Doesn't he?
Excuse me?
You have proven with your attitude everything I believe about the Jews.
I have an attitude?
What you do. You bring your ideology to
white nations. Hermes, he said that.
Tell them
Hermes,
they should put the religion before their ethnicity.
Hey, Hermes, let me ask you a question.
Who cares?
Hermes, he started off by saying he was against the idea of Judaism about and the whole story about the Amalekites. So he's.
Eitan, what do you think about white people being replaced?
That was an
Getting
idiot.
extinct. Eitan, what do you think about that? He isn't going to answer that, right?
Okay, well, he's a Jew living in Israel. I don't know if he's really required to ever think about that.
What is your opinion on white people getting extinct, Eitan? Who cares, right? Eitan, why are you so silent now?
Is there something wrong with you, Hermes?
Because it's a stupid question.
Everything's got to get
Hermes. Let's try to have an intelligent conversation.
It's always gets shifted to a different direction.
By the way,
Eitan, what do you think about white people getting extinct?
It's always to that
What do you
direction.
think about zits on your ass?
Eitan,
What do you think about
on
it,
your
Hermes?
face?
What do you think about it?
I know what I think about Hermes being extinct, but please, let's have an
so he
intelligent
isn't going to
conversation.
answer that question.
Because it's
What do you think about that?
First you answer my question, then I'll answer your stupid.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Here you go. Jewish
It's a valid question.
Sneaky Jew
Why is
doing
this
his
guy
sneaky
even on the
jokes.
goddamn fucking stage? You're an
Sneaky
anti-Semite. You're a
snake.
racist.
Except for
Yeah,
Sneaky's
call me a racist. Call me a
Oh, he
racist
dropped
to
the A
discredit
word.
me.
Okay.
Yes, call me a racist to discredit me.
You're actually
Very
a
well
retard.
done. Very well done. It was working for centuries. I guess it's still working on retards. Especially
It's incredible. Mind-boggling. It's just mind-boggling.
We have a new
He still
speaker,
didn't
guys.
answer the question, though.
Let's
He
hear
still
from.
didn't
But at the same
Shut up,
time,
Hermes.
about white people being
Shut up.
going
We have a
extinct.
new speaker. We're going to let her talk.
Yeah, just
Allah!
ignore it, right?
I still didn't get to ask my question.
Allah! We have a new speaker.
Well,
Allah!
I didn't get to finish
I need to finish
asking his
my
question.
Please, Hermes, down in the audience, so then I can ask him, and then he can come up if he wants to answer me. Okay? Now, this is what we call, if I was a Muslim, okay, and I knew I had names of prophets, or I had this thing called Jehannam. Does you want to answer me what Jehannam is, Hermes? Anybody? I'm addressing what Hermes said in Islamocentric opinion, that Islam preceded Judaism. Now I'm going to get into my scholarly mind. I'm going to ask, well, how do we know which one preceded which? So we see that they have a great common overlap of ideas. They have names that are similar. The Jews will say Gehinom, the Muslims will say Jehannam. So now you ask yourself, okay, we have etymology. Why don't we find what the etymological source? Everybody here with me?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, I'm following.
Okay, so I would like to ask Mr. Hermes, how come he thinks his Gehenna preceded, the Hebrew Gehinom, when if he was to do some homework and look at it, he will see the etymology of the word Gehenna, or Gehenna, comes from Hebrew, is a certain place. It's the valley surrounding Jerusalem, okay? It's the valley where the pagans where the pagans used to throw their firstborns in the fire. That is why it's called Gehennom, because it means gay, which means the valley of Hinnom, the lamenters, the valley of the lamenters. Now, Mr. Hibbert, explain to me who preceded what. And every single name of all these prophets that the Muslims have, they cannot tell you the meaning of those names. Every Hebrew person can tell you, because obviously, when you rip off someone else's homework, you can't give all the answers. So, Mr. Hermes, get up and explain yourself without any racist shit, if you can.
That was actually a good point, actually.
What?
That was actually a good point.
I have a number of these points because I do my homework and I research it. I'm not looking. I'm really trying to be objective and look for the truth. However, sometimes you find the truth sways one way, you find that it goes another way. In this particular case, because I was dealing with an Islamic-centered, whatever he calls himself, he doesn't want to come up and explain himself. And I can do this with a number of name places, with people places, with ideas, so on and so forth. So I made my point.
It's very interesting, Ethan, on your point. So like, I know that y'all don't have the same belief, but it's just interesting how the Jews, what was it, the Muslims and the Jews, the Muslims let the Jews come back into the land whenever the Romans were kicking them out. And it's just interesting how sometimes y'all don't see that they did some good things with you guys. But I don't know but it's different type of Jews, so you probably don't see that. But there's like the indigenous Jews, and then there's like, different types, right? So I mean, but y'all did do some good things together against Rome.
Yeah, okay.
But maybe with Rome, so I don't know. I can't tell for sure.
We might be with Rome.
I don't know. I don't know which side you're on because I don't know your.
Are you speaking conceptually with Rome or like literally with Rome?
Well, kind of like conceptually, actually.
All right. What does Rome represent to you as a concept?
Well, but historically, it was the actual Rome. But as far as conceptually for today, I would say it's conceptual for today because the West is like, in a sense, Rome. Yeah. Because I do remember Islam actually letting them go back into the land with Adrian. I think it's Adrian, one of the Roman guys. And so you guys do have like a history of
trying to give credit.
Fight the system.
All right, listen. I want to straighten out again. What's important to me is historical accuracy. There was no Islam until 650 or so.
I know that.
All right, okay. Hadrian called the name of the place. Okay, it used to be called Judea. If you want architectural proof of that, go to Rome. There's a nice little arch, or arc, they say in English. Excuse me, I haven't spoken English a long time. So it says Judah Captua. Do you know what that means, Judah Captua?
I do not know, but I do know.
It means Judea has been captured, okay? And you will see an engravement. You will see like these slaves carrying these possessions that they had to take from Jerusalem. Okay, there are a number of factoids. Okay, but I'll tell you where the name Palestine came from, and I'll tell you when the Arabs came there. Okay, first of all, there was a group of people called the Philistines. They were sea people. They came from the Aegean. They looked white. They spoke Greek. And they ate pork and so on and so forth. They didn't really belong in the area. They came there and they settled the coastland, anywhere from where we say Rafah today in Gaza, all the way to the city of Yaffo. They settled the coastlands, okay, the coast. Up until about from 1200 to 600 BC, they reigned and they were all the terror. They were Israel's number one enemy. But they dissipated. They went away. After 600, we don't hear about anybody called Philistines. I beg your pardon?
It was colonization happening back then.
What was it called?
Colonization. That's what was happening back then.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute, okay? But in Philistine, there was no Philistine after 600. Between 600 and 135 AD, it was called a number of things, but it was called Judea as well. That means they had their own self-autonomy. That other empires came in there and conquered Assyrians and so on and so forth. Rome, Greece, they all were there. They all had their party and left. Okay, now we're talking about a place called Palestine after 135 AD. The motivation of the Emperor Hadrian, who changed its name, was it's not an ethnonym, okay? When Palestinians say that they are of a lineage of Philistine, Palestine would be an ethnonym, a name of an ethnic group.
Right.
This was more in the spirit of an antonym. They didn't want Judea, so they erased that name. Then they called it Palestine. Okay, now it has been called Palestine for 600 and some odd years. And then the Muslims came in. Yes, they came in and they invaded. And if we're going to call this a colonial, we might as well call this colonialism as well.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. All right, we're going to be objective. Okay, now I'm going to go on. And what happened was they lived in this place that was eventually called Palestine. And they consecutively lived there. It wasn't really renamed Palestine until 1917 when they threw the Ottomans out. But you can see that the Palestinians are not in direct lineage of the Philistines. Palestinians, they come from Abrahamic descent. They are Semites, or they speak a Semitic language. That's it.
That's
Does that
right.
make my point?
Boy, you on point, boy. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm glad I already got you as a friend, so I'll be watching you, bro. That's some freaking awesomeness.
Yeah, all I care about is accuracy. Look, you want to say the Jews came in 48. You want to talk about the war and 70,000 are killed and all this. I'm not going to argue the actual facts. I don't like to editorialize, but when it comes to this history, I seem to know, and I try to be precise and accurate. And I don't need people changing the history.
Amen.
So,
They came in 1912, right? Not 48.
Look, there was always some kind of Jewish presence there. There was what they call the Elders of Safed. It's a town up north. There was Jews in Hebron, but of course they weren't significant in numbers. Okay, yeah. But then Zionism comes in, and that's all later. But the point is, the going back to the Rome bit. You know your Bible, right? Who am I speaking with again?
Young Zealous. Yes.
Okay, so you remember Edom, right?
Say it again.
Edom.
Yes. Yeah, Edom.
Edomites. Yes. I know that Hebrew Israelites believe that the Edomites were kicked out of there, and they're the Ashkenazi Jews, and so on and so forth. The truth is, the Edomites were kind of like cousins of the Hebrews, okay? Because it was the brothers in Esau. You remember that one?
Yes, sir.
Jacob and Esau. And Esau was called Edom because of his red coloring. So those are the Edomites, and they come from southern Jordan. And eventually they conceptualized that to being Rome. That was symbolic of Rome. So they were at odds. Rome and Judea and Jacob and Esau were always at odds. Ishmael and Israel, these were the groups they always would call these two sides of the coin. They were always at odds.
That's facts, brother. And I want to say something very quick before we go into some more. I want to say this. So Arab means mixed in Hebrew, and it means desert too. So a lot of people, that's a Hebrew thing that if you look it up.
I know it.
That wasn't against you. That was just a point.
Oh no, brother. I think we got a conversation going on. I think it's great.
Yeah, definitely. I want to pass it to you in a minute, because I got that question real quick. But Arabs means mixed. Everybody is mixed, but some people are visually mixed. So therefore, that's why they people had that going on. There's so much to go on about this. Thank you, Evie, for actually studying this stuff, bro. So what you just said, now we're here in Jerusalem. Okay, so do you know about Tacitus saying many of the Jews, many assure us that the Jews are descended from those Ethiopians who left the land, something like that. I find a quote. Do you know about Tacitus saying that?
One second, I got something here. 1 second.
Check it out. Let me go to the quote of Tacitus. He actually quotes about Jesus Christus, actually. Tacitus. Alright, here we go. And then Josephus, I'm going to explain Josephus in a minute. Let me start with Tacitus, copying his quote about the Jews and how they looked before he left, before it went crazy.
All right, listen. I know this is important to some people about what color they were. I've grown up with this culture. Whatever you want to call it,
There's many types of Jews. I just wanted to say what he said. That's all. So there's many types of Jews, and I've come to this conclusion about, even in the book of Acts, it tells you there were many types of Jews all over the planet under heaven. So this is the truth about it. It's not so the Hebrew Israelites, when racism, that's not God's way, and it's not the whole truth. But the majority of the people, indigenous, they were as if almost like Ethiopian, and also Egyptian mistaken as Egyptians, as Paul was, and so many other people like Jesus blends in with them and Joseph. But it's good to know that there's a balance because they got diverse. There was a lot of diversity that happens with these groups of people. Even the Middle East was black, but they mixed in together because of Alexander the Great and the Susa weddings. That was one of his agendas to like, and it wasn't his fault. I would say it wasn't his fault that they got into war. The King Darius III, because King Darius III was picking on him in the Middle East. He went all the way up to the Grecian area, causing problems. So, and then whenever the Alexander came to step on him, and he did, they had sex with they had marriages where basically people became like basically mixed, and overall that's what normally happens, visually mixed, right? Because everybody's mixed. But this is written in what is it, Livius.org. You can find these quotes. Let me paste this quote about the Tacitus. This is so this is a little bit of history that people don't know about. When they watch the movies of Jesus, only thing you see is is two sides. It's either Europe and the Arab version. You don't see the actual indigenous blacks in exactly as represented as they were. The image in my PTR is a Judean guy, and so on and so on. So there's so much proof about these people being a color type of people, and the very titles we use today called Ethiopian, we think it's one region when it really was just a description of a dark skinned people.
All right, Jan, listen. There's a video of a black guy in Brooklyn or something like that approaching a Hasidic Jew. You know what a Hasidic Jew is, obviously, right?
What did you say, Ethan? Because I was like, really
gotta go back.
The bottom line is that a Jew could be black or white. It's irrelevant.
Yeah, most people say that when they're fragile. I think history is just history, that's all. And if it just like happened to be a certain thing, it just is. But whenever it is a certain thing, people get triggered because they're fragile.
No, I'm not triggered at all. I would concede that the majority, by far, of Jews are white, but race has nothing to do with whether one is a Jew or not. And there indeed are black
That's
Jews.
actually a joke toward even in this century, but actually history says it's a joke. But I don't know if popularity or postmodernism is actually.
Why is it a joke?
So like postmodernism and history is different, right? So like you guys think it is postmodern because if a lie goes first, then it seems to be the first one to be right. In the Bible it says the first to speak seems right until the cross-examination. So when cross-examining history, the history that we got is that we first was given white. And so that's the reason why that's the only thing you see in the Germanic tribes and the Ashkenazi, the 13 tribe stuff. That's the reason why you see that only because that's all.
I don't know what your argument is. Are you saying that Jews were originally black and some became white? I don't know what you're saying.
If you missed what I said this to Eaton. I said to Eaton, yeah, brother, like yes, there's many type of Jews. There's many, but the original they were black people. What they call black today, and so that makes people uncomfortable only because.
No, it doesn't make me uncomfortable at all. It's irrelevant. But it's irrelevant to whether a person is Jewish or not.
Nothing is irrelevant. People make it irrelevant because they something. But prove to yourself. That's the main thing. You know what I mean?
Young, may I ask you a question, Young?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay, and this is for Ethan too. What behavior should I have as a person, no matter what ethnic group I'm in, based on the different people groups?
Yeah, it's not based off of your skin color. This is just this is information that just like, hey, just in case you.
No. Don't do this.
I already answered it already, so you should take the answer and then don't try to control the answer. Okay. So,
no.
You're trying to control the answer.
Yeah, hold on, guys. Ethan, one second. Young.
Know what the answer is, and then just go.
Young. You've been talking about ethnicity the whole time.
Yeah, I'm not scared of it. I'll make sure
I know, but no one's scared of it. No one's scared of it.
I know they aren't.
Young. You cannot speak on behalf of other people.
No, I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm speaking for those who are lost.
No. What you're doing right now, what you're doing, Young, is you're the one.
No, you should study these things that we share.
But I have a question.
Okay, I've been listening listening patiently?
Pepe, wait a minute. I have a question first. Pepe, wait. My question is.
Hold on, everybody, shut the fuck up. Everybody, shut the fuck up.
Can a Jew
I'm a
speak
fucking mod.
Ebonics?
Shut up, everybody. Jesus Christ. Okay, like,
Thank you.
now, okay, I'll let Edward ask his question. Young, please stop. And if you know you guys know how I feel about this topic, and I really just tread lightly. But go ahead and stop interrupting each other. All right, go ahead, Edward.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm not going to question about him. I'll talk to Eaton. He's definitely reasonable, and he actually has some history on the side. He knows his history.
I said Edward could go.
Deny it while he's talking.
Wow.
He said Edward could go.
Young, I'm so sorry that you believe that just because Eaton and you are having some dialogue, that the information you both
Oh,
providing.
look how emotional I am because I can't get like that. Oh my God.
Wow, it's unbelievable. So I'm going to say this again. Okay, based on people's behavior, no matter what ethnic group they come from, doesn't matter ethnic group. I don't care. You can tell me all about the different histories. If the people group, no matter who they are, harm each other or harm others, to me, that behavior means that whether they're Jew, Muslim, Christian, whatever, what they must not change their behavior to treat another human being better. This is where we go. So I don't care what ethnic group, what you believe or don't believe. At the end of the day, if you conquer someone, okay, people are not conquering people just because of their ethnic group, or you believe that God is favoring one group over another group. Come on, guys.
So are you preaching to me like a what? Like a civil rights speaker is about another
First of all, Young, first of all, Young, I'm not talking to you anymore.
Okay.
You know why?
That makes sense.
Okay, great. Thanks. Because I'm talking to the whole room based on the title. Okay? Each person today is only talking about these different ideologies at the end of the day. These are ideologies. My question goes back to, does any of these ideologies change my behavior no matter what continent I live on? That's the difference. If it doesn't make me a better human being to treat all people with kindness, then why am I believing anything?
I think that
I'm just trying to
like
figure out where
belief,
God said to support Gaza.
I think that I think part of the problem is that people like Young believe that skin color is ethnicity.
Talk to me directly if you think that I believe. I'm not going to.
I mean, well, you mentioned the idea of people being black and white and things.
I already told you. I already told people about. So hey, I said it. I already made the statement about the.
So correct me.
No. Hear what I'm saying. I don't give a damn. I'm gonna say what I believe so you can know it. Let me say it out loud. So this is what it is. What they're saying, as far as the Israelites and many other people that's not Hebrew Israelites, they know these truths because they studied it. But I'll say this first: the last thing, disclaimer, I'm gonna say, I don't believe in racism. I don't believe in the racism stuff. Don't believe in that. That's the only thing with them, and also the way that they're probably gonna go with that type of stuff. I don't believe in that. Everything else, they're on point. They're not lying about it. I've studied it back and forth. Me, Ethan, the same thing that Ethan bringing up. I
didn't say you believed in racism. I said you believe that. I said that you believe that race happens to be ethnicity. So therefore, if the ancient Israelites were a particular skin color, particular race presenting, that means that is their ethnic group, and that presentation should be the managing ethnic group of whatever that group of people represent based off of skin color. But if you had
misnomer, just trying to get rid of it.
Using it as a common.
We're not saying the opposite things. I agree.
So imagine you had a couple had 9 sons, right? The same couple, husband and wife, had nine sons, and 3 of those sons went into Europe, 3 of those sons went into Africa, and 3 of those into Asia, and they had their own. Are those people still the same ethnic group? Do they still come from the same or tribe of people? And even if their skin colors quote unquote, the skin color of their descendants are more like the people that they're around. Yeah, they have the same, because they have the same original root, right? And that is effectively what happened with the Jews over time. You have some that went into Asia. You have some, or Israel Jews, whatever you want to call them. You have some that went into Asia. You have some that went into Europe. You have some that went into Africa. And those groups of people had different groups of children, but they still maintained their identity. And the reason why people don't really understand a lot of this stuff is because they're transposing modern day Western society on your ancient, well, in Europe 200, 300 years ago, and the Middle East 200, 300 years ago, where people were not able to switch their quote unquote religion or ideologies like they can switch their underwear in the West, right? In America, you can wake up a Jew, you can have lunch and become a Muslim, and you can die, or you can go to sleep in the evening and be a Christian. In the older world, you couldn't do that.
Well,
You were
conversion is possible. Converting to another religion is possible.
Devin, I'm talking about modern day.
No,
society.
you're missing the biggest point. It's called free will of conversion. What the hell do you not get that?
One second. 200 years ago in the Middle East, if somebody were to say that they were going to be a Jew, they would get their head cut off if they weren't really a Jew. They were that was both in Europe and Eastern Europe, as well as the Middle East, and even Ethiopia. If you were to say that you were a Jew, you tell everybody around you, they will cut your head off. You couldn't just convert and become a Jew. You could likely convert and become a Christian or a Muslim, because that was normative. And Jews were forced in all of those places. They had reduced rights. They didn't even have citizenship. Jews in Europe lived in ghettos. Jews in the Middle East lived in particular palaces and neighborhoods.
Don't impose
Jimmy. It was called Jimmy status.
To believe in a deity against their will. Do you understand that?
Shut the fuck up, Sam.
No, you go fuck yourself, you little bitch.
Okay, that was uncalled for.
They had a demi status,
Told for him to tell me that.
Which is a second class status in society. Maybe even sometimes a third class status in society. You couldn't just become a Jew if you were not a part of that group. You would be killed. People just sort of pretend.
We understand that.
Sam's a Coptic Christian, so I think he knows about that pretty well.
Okay, so Sam will probably know, but most people in the West, these people who talk about the Khazars and all of these people, they really don't understand what the old world was like.
It means you, Pepe.
Oh.
Well, no, I don't think that there was like these white people pretending to be Jews. First of all,
on Sundays you do. On Sunday, today you don't, but Sundays you do.
That's bullshit. Because first of all, I'm just gonna be very frank with saying this. Throughout European history, being a Jew is like being a fucking leper or a fucking gypsy. They're looked down upon. I mean, why the fuck would anybody do that?
Don't forget about Albert Einstein and Sigmund Freud.
That's the whole point. Is why.
The difference is you
hold on to it.
Like Josephus,
Benjamin Disraeli.
If you can pass, you'd be good. But the moment you give your ideology,
what about Benjamin Disraeli?
But the black Jews.
He was a Jewish prime minister.
Different places like the Spanish Inquisition and stuff.
He wasn't a leper.
The visual black people got kicked out, but the ones who were our brothers and sisters, who blended in, mulatto, whatever, they were able to blend in, so they could pass. The moment, that's why they have this conflict still today. Like, hey, oh well, I'm white. Oh well, I'm actually Jewish. Let's not say that because you can't tell on the exterior. So that's what divided up Israel in a sense too. Also, Josephus, he was able to go with the Romans, even though he fought against them. So that's what we have today. It's the same thing.
Wait, what does it mean to be white?
Right. What does it mean? That's a misnomer too, right? That's
it means no. It is white. White is just a skin color category.
I just said that it's a misnomer. That's the point of why I said
that. That's not necessarily what a
misnomer is. Not really.
Whiteness is a skin color category. No, whiteness is a skin color category.
Okay, well, let the whites speak for the. I mean, most of us consider it. It just means you're of European descent, really.
But I mean, that's what it means today, generally. And quite honestly, a lot of North Africans are considered white, and they do not have European descent. A lot of Turks are considered white. I guess you can consider them.
They do have
Yeah, for the
European
census
descent.
purpose, yes.
That's what made
Yeah.
them mix.
So, but not even for census purposes, for social purposes as well. But it wasn't always that way. It wasn't even that way 100 years ago. That though it just sort of became
No, it
normal.
always was in the U.S. We had like what we would consider, but like the Anglos would consider the newcomers, especially Southern and Eastern Europeans, as being like ethnic trash in comparison to themselves. But they were, the whole reason they were even allowed to immigrate here is because they were considered white. Our Immigration Act only allowed 3 white people to come here.
Most of those people were not able. They were
Not
able
the
to
Irish.
become residents, but not citizens.
No, the Irish
They were not able to
allowed
become
to come
citizens.
here.
Irish were considered white, what, in the 1800s?
Yeah.
Late
Now,
1800s.
people were racist against them, especially the Anglos, and the Irish, you know, also hated the Anglos. But we ended up putting the nation of origins quota, I believe, is it 1924, so that we wouldn't have as many Southern and Eastern Europeans coming here. But no, they were always considered white. There were a few. The only thing that would really, I guess, they did consider somewhat people from the Levant white. So you did have people that came from Syria and Lebanon in small numbers, and they were classified as white.
Yeah, but there were court cases. There were court cases there were court cases of them petitioning to be considered white.
Yeah,
right?
there was a police officer in California who arrested a white man, and the defendant, this went to the Supreme Court, but his argument was that, well, this man's not white, and you know, at the time you had to be white in order to arrest a white citizen, and the Supreme Court ruled that he was white. So
the fact that there were court cases and questions about it proved that there was some ambiguity.
Well, there's always ambiguity, but so like there's no clear line where the racial distinctions, like with Europeans, you can get people from the Caucasus and Western Asia, the Levant, even not so much North Africa today, but more so in the past. There wasn't like a clean line. It's kind of like a gradient where you have people that are in proximity to Europe. They're obviously related to us, but then obviously the further you go away from Europe, they start looking a lot different from us, and they are a lot different. But if you look outside the boundaries of Europe, there is a drastic change in culture and religion.
Yeah,
I mean, you have some Christians in the Levant, but then that's when they have the different Middle Eastern languages. Everything's a lot different culturally as well. So it's just a useful way to I would say not just racially but culturally classify a group of people.
It has areas of applicability and inapplicability that vary with time and place.
Okay, Shah.
I agree.
Did I pronounce it correctly? Shai?
Shai, yes.
Okay, Shah. This is my question for you based on your understanding. Were people considered religious based on their ethnic group, or were they just considered, like, being born in a Jewish family may not be your ethnicity or nationality, or vice versa? Okay? So my question to you is, where are we right now on the timeline of looking at people based on their belief system of the title of the room versus their ethnicity?
I think that each of those societies have different things. So Jews have always had a how do you say,
genetic,
like a plurality of beliefs within Judaism. You can see it in the Old Testament. You can see it in the New Testament. There's not like a distinct belief. It's not like if you are a Christian, you have a particular but you have to believe in Jesus in order to be a Christian and accept whatever those tenets are. Or like in Islam, you have to believe in the Prophet Muhammad and as the final prophet and all that comes with this. So Jews have always, so all of them are different. They all have their own requirements to be a part of the society. But you also have the Armenians, right, and the Chaldeans. These groups of people they have their own church and they have their own ethnic group that goes within that church. They are Christians, they are whatever, but they have their own traditions and realities and even somewhat specific beliefs within that Christian form of Christianity that makes them part of that church. And sometimes they accept new members, but for the most part, they don't.
Question for you: when you hear the term Judeo-Christian, right, in the United States, what is your understanding of that basis? Because out of many one in America, they're not looking at all the different ethnic groups, but our foundation is Judeo-Christian. What do you understand by that?
I think it has to do with philosophy. I think it has to do with the way I believe, or the way I understand John Locke sort of taking biblical principles and making that into the secular foundation of America and Western society and how we run our system, and the fact that the majority of the people in America had some form of Christianity as a belief in early America, and also the population or small population of Jews that were there. So a lot of the Americanisms are things that we understand from America. The way the Constitution is formed, the way that the Congress is, the government is formed, a lot of that actually comes from biblical principles that people really have to, you have to read John Locke to really understand where he's coming from and how they count others.
So what's the value? What's the value is there? I'm a Christian and I work at a Catholic university. I'm not familiar.
What, John Locke?
Exactly.
Oh, I'll put a link in the chat for you.
Well, we want to be concerned with trends, I think, and the term Judeo-Christian is becoming more meaningful with time because America is seeing itself as Judeo-Christian. I would say we just voted for a President Trump who is supporting religion in America. What is religion in America? I'm sorry. It's religion in America has been Judeo-Christian all along.
Well, I think that so there's a lot of us who I kind of think it's oxymoronic. And if I'm gonna, I'll just be very frank about actual Christianity. First of all, a lot of people, I'll hear Jews complain about, they have a replacement theology, or there's a trend of some Christians wanting a replacement theology. But it's my personal opinion that Christianity was always a replacement theology. That's literally its foundation. In fact, the earliest Christians didn't think very highly of Jews and mistreated them. I don't.
The Christians were Jews.
Huh?
I thought
the first Christians were Jews.
The very first Christians.
Yeah, but we killed those people off.
But when you see,
no,
but if you look at how,
no, Pepe, hold on. All of the first people in the New Testament
were Jews. I know.
But the Jews who became believers in the
Yes.
way. So when you say the difference, that's why I say Judeo-Christian. The foundation of the United States is because Jews did convert. All of the New Testament are all Jews who converted to.
Yeah, we know that.
I know that, but you don't treat them the same. You don't look at them the same. You call it replacement. No one's replacing anything. It's called fulfillment.
Sure, I think that fulfillment. Okay, that's fulfillment. So this is what I'll just ask the Jews here. So. Okay, now this is obviously pre-Vatican II. This is what the Catholics believe. I believe it's what all the Orthodox still believe. But after the resurrection of Christ, the covenant had been fulfilled with the Jews. The Jews no longer, right around the time of I believe it was the destruction of the Second Temple, there was some time where Jews had to accept Christianity. But according to Christians throughout time, Judaism ceased to exist as a religion. You guys have no covenant with God. The covenant is now with us in the church. That is what they consider. It's my understanding that is what they consider replacement theology.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Well,
Nobody knows about the covenants.
Exactly. The covenant is still intact. And what covenant are we talking about?
That has not been the Christian view for most of the time Christianity
but what
has
is
been
the
around.
actual question? What's the actual question?
Yeah, okay. The actual question is current Christianity replacing Judaism? No. It never has.
Current Christianity, which Christianity? Because I would say some do look at it as the basic. First of all, I'll just ask it. One of the Jews can answer. What do you guys consider a replacement theology?
I guess the fact that people believe that Jews don't exist anymore, and that the people who are Christians are the real Jews. Sorry,
I have a
old
I think I have a
original Jews don't exist anymore, and the new Jews are the church, are the people who believe in Jesus, and and that we Jews are non-existent in the world.
Could middle child speak? What about if it was something all three of us? What about?
I do not believe that at all. What I believe is, let me just answer the question.
All right, Edward, go ahead.
Sam, as a believer, I believe that Jews still exist. I still believe that Christianity, quote unquote Christianity, because no one in the New Testament ever called himself Christian. Okay, it was called the Way.
No,
we have
they
used
were called the Christians. Yes, they were.
Okay. All right, Young. I hear you. Okay, Young.
It's in the Bible. That's all I'm saying.
Young, I got it. Okay. I'm going to say to you, Young. Please go back and look at it. They were not. I said again, very clear. They did not call themselves Christian. People say you are Christian, or you are those Christians. They did not call themselves Christians.
Peter said, if they call you that, be proud of it.
Okay, you got it. Because you know why? Because they were following Christ. Okay? Whether, and I'm going to say it again, they didn't call themselves. I don't call myself a Christian, but I believe in Christ 1,000%. I'm a kingdom believer. They consider themselves the Way. If you go through all of Scripture, all of doctrine, okay, Christianity is a term used by the world to refer to all those who believe in Christ, but it wasn't a biblical term. I got it. You can put all three scriptures in there that use the term Christian and look at all of them. Okay? So, so I believe that Jews still exist.
I will use
that's fine, but
I'll use a passage from Bible.
Wasn't the whole message of Jesus basically that you should follow that you should follow they should accept food as the Son of God and I mean, if anything, they basically condemned the Pharisees as a bunch of sinners.
Fine. We can all argue and keep arguing. What if we
how is that not a replacement theology? But how is that? Hold on. But how is that not that's like the whole messaging is that or not?
Didn't Jesus?
He did not say. I did not come to change the law. I only came to fulfill the law of Moshe. Now, let's go into this. Let's say if you had the faith of a little tiny.
The law? What does it mean to fulfill the law?
It means that the Pharisees were going a little off.
No, what does it mean to actually fulfill a law? How do you fulfill a law?
Well, it depends. I'm not going to get into. I'm not a Judaism expert.
No, I'm asking you. You said you.
I only spoke from the Jesus perspective. I only spoke from the Jesus perspective.
But you are a Christian expert, right?
Yes. Well, we're talking about 10 Commandments, but if you want to go into the mitzvot, no, but the mitzvot are also part of the law. So you are, but that's from the Judaism perspective, not the Christian perspective. So it's a complicated answer.
That's not really.
And I should not be in that position to answer it.
You shouldn't be in a position to answer a complicated
from a
question.
Judaism perspective.
Yeah, I can.
What does it mean to fulfill?
But I guess the other thing too is I don't get why Jews are offended by what they would consider a replacement theology. The Muslims think that Jesus was only a prophet. He was not the Son of God, and they really don't like what we believe. And I don't find it offensive. They just have a different belief.
I think we're just offended when you try to kill us because of it. Not you personally, but like just.
Well, I've noticed because you have evangelicals, which are rather modern throughout the timeline of Christianity, and they have a very warped view that Christians never traditionally held, that this modern land of Israel is promised to the Jews, where that it was never, Christianity never saw it that way. And no,
okay.
Israel is the church. I mean, the Catholics have been rather consistent on that. The first Christians.
That's version of Christianity.
Yeah, remember.
That's not. It's literally the original Christianity, but that's cool. But
remember,
but in the Orthodox, same view, and I would say
Okay, let me ask this
they're more old school and traditional. Hold on.
Remember,
they're more old school and traditional than the Catholics. So and most Protestants are not dispensationalists that believe in like what the evangelicals do, and so I feel like a lot of it is they're weaponized. Like you hear Jews complaining about the quote unquote replacement theologies in Christianity, that they want us all to be these
okay, what if we do the ultimate replacement theology, the ultimate of ultimate replacement theologies, and we say we all agree on something, that we all believe in AI. As a Muslim, you believe in the AI. As a Jew, you believe in the AI. As a Christian, you believe in the AI.
Jesus Christ.
Then why don't we go into ultimate replacement AI theology all together as one?
Who is interrupting me just for that? Silly.
So I think that you remember, Pepe, for 1,000 years after the death of Jesus, the Romans controlled the land that is Israel, right? And then for another 1,000 years, almost after that, the Romans or the Christians were beaten by the Muslims, and they controlled the land.
That just proves my point. It's never going to stop. So who wants to be there?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But what was your point, though, Shai?
Oh, you were talking about the church never. I mean, they saw themselves as replacing it, but they control the land. You said that these modern evangelicals, they believe that the land is promised to the Jews.
So we're having perpetual arguments. Is that what it is?
All right.
Yes, we have this perpetual sibling argument.
Perpetual arguments. Okay. Who wants to hang around a place where people always arguing and fighting each other?
It doesn't really matter. The evangelicals can support Israel for whatever reason they believe, but Israel is here not because of the evangelicals. The evangelicals.
No. I think it's ironic because that what I'm saying is that you have these fervent supporters of Israel that are I guess Zionist Christians, and for very different reasons than the Jews. Obviously, they know that when Jesus comes back, you guys are all mostly going to hell. But whereas we kind of like we don't have any claim to. We don't believe that the land has to be saved by Jews. We don't have we're not told to be anti-Zionist. We're definitely not supposed to treat Jews bad. But I feel like there's this attack because they think that we're not the real Christians, because unlike, they want us to all be like these evangelicals that, will support them no matter what.
I just asked one question.
And no, we don't. That's not what we want. Pepe, you have to get. I don't understand why you believe this. You perpetually say it, and it's actually quite. It's really ignorant of the point. Some people go like BB or whatever, they go to evangelicals because they know they get help. But it's really.
So he goes to A, and this guy will go to B, and then one day C will go to A.
So
and
I would
B
say
will go
this.
to D.
I do get the. So it's mostly going to be on places like Twitter, but I do see the fucking kvetching by whiny Jews about how Catholicism is the worst. The Orthodox are the worst. Because it's clear in the Bible. Israel belongs to us. And it's like, don't tell us what our fucking religion, how they interpret our fucking religion. We don't do that. We don't tell Jews what the fuck it is they're supposed to believe in the Torah. So like, don't do it to us.
First of all, Christians have done this for like 2,000 years. I mean, literally. I mean, and quite honestly, the entire Christian. This is part of the replacement theory. The entire Christian religion is based off of Judaism and quite a lot of misinterpretations of Judaism, biblical Judaism, rabbinic Judaism. You know,
But you can blame Jesus for that one.
I mean, I really blame Paul. But
can I just ask one question?
Hold on, Drew. You still want to ask a question, Drew? Go ahead.
I just have, and all this discussion going on here. All that I really want to know about all this little semantics and nitpicking aside is who gave the green light for 1948? That's all I want to know. And I'm not asking that to be
the British,
whatever. I'm genuinely curious.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. It was the British were retarded. The British abstained from the vote from the UN. This is the retarded part, right? All of this war, the war, blah blah blah. There was a war with the United Nations. America voted for it.
Here, how about I'll make it easy for you? Who cares?
No.
Who cares?
I'm asking.
It happened. So what?
I'm asking from a religious
What the fuck do you mean 1948?
Why are we even gonna go there?
And what's the religious perspective? What's the religious perspective?
Okay, so what Drew, you're asking from a religious perspective?
Who gave the green light? Where is it written?
Donkey Kong on Mars. Now
it would depend on which.
I'm asking you a serious question, and like.
So evangelical Christians will say that the land was promised to them, and it's part of their end times.
But they had no connection to it. They had no connection to the vote with the United Nations.
Hold on.
That he's talking about 1948.
Yeah. Okay. So, but how can you make it a religious?
It was inevitable. It was going to happen. Whatever.
So, when you say,
it was
hold
going
on,
to happen.
shut the fuck up.
Who is he talking to?
So when it comes to, okay, so you're asking who gave it the green light specifically in 1948?
Your mama.
Religiously? I don't quite understand.
He wants to know
where is it written? Where is it written? Forget I said 1948, but where is it written that these people would have the green light to go ahead to right?
It's written on a male gay bathroom
United
Nations.
United Nations.
What the hell?
I'm asking a serious question.
United Nations.
So it's
no. I'm asking where. No. Is it in the Bible? Is it in the Torah, the Talmud? Where is it written?
I can only speak for Christianity. Okay, the evangelicals with the Schofield Reference Bible, they do this solo scriptura bullshit where they basically read it and interpret it in ways that they should not, or in a literal way, which the Catholic Church and the Orthodox, they would never allow people to do that. So they in their Bible, okay, it says that they believe that Jews need to go back to Israel. Then there will be wars all over the world. And the whole world will be at war with them. And then at the end times, Jesus will come back, and that's basically
I'll run with that.
At the end of the day, the tribe of Judea, they pulled it off, man. Members from the tribe pulled it off.
There are already wars all over the world, right? There was already World War I. There was already World War II. Then there was World War II at the time. And you have to also remember that even before then, the various empires, the Ottoman Empire, the Chinese, all of these people were also at wars.
Where it was written and declared, not us, modern humans, not by the UN, not by a government. I'm asking